Hey there guys, thanks for joining me for the third and final demonstration of the Introduction to Music Production module. Here we're going to be taking a look at mastering. So you've recorded all the elements and you've mixed all the elements for your loop, and now we just want to enhance things a little bit just to optimize things for their intended medium. So let's take a look inside Reason and see how we can accomplish this. Now that I have my loop mixed the way I want it, it's time to go through the mastering process. What mastering does is optimize the audio for the intended medium. So in this case, we're working with a loop or a song, so the intended medium is probably a stereo, somebody's car radio, an iPod, etc. So we have to keep those things in mind as we're performing the mastering functions. Another important thing that you should know is that the mastering process usually requires some effects processing to an audio signal. Most frequently, mastering engineers use compression, equalization, and peak limiting to achieve the highest quality. These are the common mastering processes, but are by no means a rule or you have to use these. So, how exactly do we master this loop within Reason? Staying here in the mix window, we're now going to focus our attention on this right side to all the master section. So here's my master fader and meter. Then I've also got my master inserts, and up here a master compressor. So this is where we're going to begin. In order to use the master compressor, I have to turn it on and enable it. Now if I play my loop, you'll notice you won't hear too much difference. You can see here on the meter that no compression is actually being done, so what we need to do is actually make some adjustments to our parameters here just to reduce the dynamic range and boost up some of the volume for this loop just a little bit. So by lowering the threshold and increasing the ratio, I'm now starting to see some movement here, some actual compression happening to the sound. I'm also going to make the attack a little faster so the compressor turns on more quickly. Put the release time on auto. And it sounds like I could use a little makeup gain. This is going to increase the volume. Now a useful function here is to turn on and off the master compressor while listening, just to make sure that the changes you make actually improve from the original sound. I definitely think it sounds better with the adjustments that we made. The next section we're going to go to on our master channel is the master insert section. So just like the inserts on all the mix channels and just like on the instrument patches, I can select presets here. There are many mastering preset patches available to you, and you can actually just select one and play your loop, and then you can actually scroll through and see which presets sound the best to you. I like the sound of that one, but just to be sure, I'm also going to utilize this bypass function just in order to make sure, like with the master compressor, that the changes that we have made are actually good ones. Yeah, I like the changes that we've made there. It just adds an overall beefiness to the sound and makes it just a little bit louder. Lastly, I want to make sure that this audio is optimized to its fullest potential. So, now that I've applied all the compression and effects that I feel like I want to use, I'm going to take a look at this master meter while listening to the loop just to make sure that we're using the volume to its fullest potential. There. Now I've maximized the audio. We're still not actually having any clipping or distortion on our master meter, which is good, but we've also just increased the master fader volume just enough to optimize that audio completely. Now before we can say that we're finished with this mastered loop, we have to export the audio. So what I'm going to do is go back to the edit window or sequencer window and make sure that I've set my loop points where I want them, left and right, and also that my end marker is there as well, which it is. Now I can go up to my control bar, to File, and export loop as audio file. Just like always, it's important to label these correctly, just to identify what changes have been made. Also, we want to make sure that we're creating the right kind of audio format. I'm going to go ahead and change this to a WAV file because I prefer its high quality and that format. Now I'm going to save to the appropriate place. Now I have these other audio export settings that I have to choose from before I get my finished product. This is an appropriate sample rate for audio recordings. If you were producing music to go with video, you might want to change this to 48,000 Hertz, but for right now and our purposes, 44,100 and a bit depth of 16 is appropriate. I'm also going to make sure that dither is enabled and gets applied to this audio as it's exported because it will help reduce any sort of sonic anomalies or distortion. Now I simply have to click export. Now I can simply locate my exported audio file based on the location where I saved it. Starting to sound great. At this point, we've taken a music production loop project from beginning to end through all three music production phases: recording, mixing, and mastering. Of course, there's a lot more details to learn about each of these three phases, and we're going to leave those for the forthcoming modules. Until then, be creative and keep having fun. Until next time.